read 39th shloka, if I am right. One of you can lift the hand to show if you like. So Arjuna's one argument was quite interesting. They do not understand what is dharma. They do not understand what is the meaning of killing all people. They don't have the knowledge. They have just lobha-driven people, desire-driven people. Why can't we stop the war by allowing them to continue their rule? So that was the argument given by Arjuna. What has Krishna to say about these arguments? We have to go later, find later what he says when we get to Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. Let's go to the shloka number 40. Kulakshe pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha. Dharme nashte kulam krishna adharma abhivedyata. Next argument of Arjuna is quite logical. When tsunami happened, lakhs of people were killed. Some people lost everything, some people lost their family people, and they became destitute. So all the culture that they had, family tradition, and the puja festival and all those things, they all got destroyed. If many people are killed like this, Arjuna's argument is this will happen in a society. Kulaksheya pranashyanti kuladharma sanatana. When Kulaksheya happens, destruction of kulas happen, clans happen, people happen. Kuladharma sanatana pranashyanti. Long living kuladharma, that is the way in which they make a living, will come to a close. Dharme nashte kuladharma adharma abhivadyata. When dharma is destroyed, naturally adharma shines. When dharma nashte kulam krishna, adharma takes hold of it. In many wars, this is what is going to happen. The ratio between men and women will vary. Then naturally, the society will have a different condition to face. Arjuna has having that in mind. If we continue the war, men will be killed, women will be destitute, then they have to depend on somebody. Social dharma, sanatana dharma, which is what he calls, will get destroyed. That is the argument of Arjuna. Kulakshe pranashyanti kuladharma sanatana. Sanatana is that you all know, all people of all languages know. That is eternal. Sanatana dharma is eternal dharma. It was not started sometimes. It is there, it was there, it is there, it will be there. That is sanatana. Dharme nashte kulam krishna adharma abhivat. When dharma goes, adharma takes hold. That's what the argument Arjuna is giving. I think we can repeat. Kulakshaye pranashyanti.
Kulakshaye pranashyanti.
Kuladharma sanatana.
Kuladharma sanatanaha.
Dharme nashte kulam krishnam.
Dharme nashte kulam krishnam.
Adharmo abhibhavatyata.
Adharmo abhibhavatyuta.
Kulakshaye pranashyanti.
Kulakshaye pranashyanti.
Kuladharma sanatana.
Kuladharma sanatanaha.
Dharme nashte kulam krishna.
Dharme nashte kulam krishna.
Adharmo abhibhavatyata.
Adharmo abhibhavatyuta.
Arjuna continues his argument. What would happen if this war continues? Adharma abhibhavat Krishna pradashyanti kulastriyaha. I told you that this was the first world war that happened. Entire India of that time had gathered there to fight a war, whether on the Kaurava side or on the Pandava side, whether on the side of justice or on the side of injustice, they were all gathered. And in a war, killing is the affair there. Lot of people will die. Thousands and lakhs will die. Then what happens? Adharma abhibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyaha. Kulastriyaha is this. Respectable ladies of family ladies. Kulastriyaha pradushyanti. Their chastity will be spoiled. Strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varnasankaraha. And then what happens? There was a tradition at that time, even now, we want to take a bride or husband from the same clan and so forth, and to retain our culture or cultural practices. That altogether goes. Nobody cares what culture he has, the boy has, what culture girl has. It will all be destroyed. Strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varnasankara. Mixing of caste will happen. Varna Sankara means mixing of caste. You cannot say what caste a boy or the girl newborn belongs to. That is the argument of Arjuna we must accept before Krishna's argument comes for that. There will be a society with no dharma left, no traditional practice left, nothing will remain. So Varna Sankara will happen, mixing of caste will happen. Varna Sankara here he means mixing of caste. Adharma abhibhavat Krishna pradashyanti kulasriya. The family ladies, traditional family beliefs of the ladies will all get lost if all men are destroyed there. And then Strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varna sankara. When such thing happens, when ladies are made to lose their character because of this situation, Varna Sankara will happen according to Arjuna. I think we can repeat. Adharma abhibhavat Krishna
Adharma abhibhavat Krishna
pradushyanti kulastriyaha
pradushyanti kulastriyaha
Trishu dushtasu varshneya
Strishu dushtasu vrashneya
jayate varna sankaraha.
jayate varna sankaraha.
Adharma abhibhavat Krishna
Adharma abhibhavat Krishna
pradushyanti kulastriyaha
pradushyanti kulastriyaha
Trishu dushtasu varshneya
Strishu dushtasu vrashneya
jayate varna sankaraha.
jayate varna sankaraha.
Next point, same argument. Arjuna is logical in his own way. Krishna has a different argument, a different place to look at. Arjuna looks at from the point of view of destruction of the family. Krishna looks at the destruction of dharma. What should be done when dharma is destructed is the question of Arjuna. Not to worry about what happens in society, but to see whether that dharma is established. That is the two different sides from which Krishna and Arjuna are looking at the situation. Sankaro narakayeva kulajnanam kulasya. What happens this mixing of caste? That is equal to hell. Sankaro narakayeva. Naraka is hell. This mixing is equivalent to hell. Kulajnanam kulasya. And then what happens? They will forget all kulajnana, the knowledge that was there in the kulas, clans, etc. Patanti pitarohesham lupta pindodaka kriyaha. What would happen? We have all religions have their own way of doing something respectable for their dead. Traditionally, when a man dies, respectfully he is either buried or burnt. Not only that, with that we finish. Many festival-like things are getting together and getting set to a new situation will be there. Say, for example, in one tradition, when a man dies, there is until Vaikuntha Samaradhana, that is the 13th day of the death, and we think he went to Vaikuntha. Or in another sampradaya, after all functions, they think they will go to Kailas. So those things will just disappear. Patanti, and what happens according to Arjuna's argument? If that happens, Lupta Pindodaka Kriyaha. Mentioning about Babar, his cruel rule, the greatness of Hindus was sung by one of his own men. Among Hindus, they give water even after their death. You have not giving water to the living people here. That is the difference between the two. That's what one of the nearest of Babar said to him. That said. So we offer water and food every day once, every year once. On that day, we will show some respect. We will do some dana. We will go to some temple and worship. We remember that. That's our duty to remember. So that will all be stopped if this war happens. That's the argument of Arjuna. Lupta Pindodaka Kriyaha. Pinda means offering. That's what is done in traditional way of practice, where they make a rice ball and offer it to the Pitrus after doing puja. So everything will be kept outside for the Pitrus. And then such things will all stop. Sankaro Narakaiva. This mixing up of caste is equivalent to hell. Kulagnanam Kulasya. That will become all destruction of the knowledge in the Kula. Patanti Pitaro Hesham. The parents who died will go to hell because they will not get water or food after their death. This is Patanti Luptopindo the Kaprians. That is Arjuna believes. Only by doing this, we can respect our elders and they get their dues once in a year. Once in a year, they will get their food and water. So that will all stop if this war happens, is the argument of Arjuna. Sankaro Narakaiva. Mixing is equal to hell. Kulagnanang Kulasya. And then we will all be responsible for the destruction of Kulagnana. Padanti Pitro Hesham. These dead people will come back to Naraka because they don't get water or food after their death. Yes, I think we can repeat. Sankaro Narakayeva.
Shankaro Narakayaiva
Kulagnanam Kulasya cha.
Kulagnyanam Kulasya cha
Patanti Pitro Hesham.
Patanti Pitaro Hesham
Lupta Pindodaka Kriyaha.
Lupta Pindodaka Kriyaha
Sankaro Narakayeva.
Sankaro Narakayaiva
Kulagnanam Kulasya cha.
Kulagnyanam Kulasya cha
Patanti Pitro Hesham.
Patanti Pitaro Hesham
Lupta Pindodaka Kriyaha.
Lupta Pindodaka Kriyaha.
Same argument he continues. Doshe rete kulagnanam varanasankara karkaihi utsadyante jati dharma kuladharma shashvata. When this happens, when all traditional duties for the dead stops, what will happen? By the wrong actions of those who have destroyed the family, creating the confusion in society, perennial dharmas pursued by the community and the family all get destroyed. For thousands of years, we have built a tradition in these matters. When a man or a woman dies in a family, they come from a family tradition. They can't keep the dead body at home. That's right. But with all respect, they will either cremate or bury. And not only that, they will try to give food to them when they die. And once in a year, they remember, and so on and so forth. But by doing such a distraction which is going to happen if we continue the war, will destroy the dharma. All tradition will get destroyed. Will not be knowing what to do. And traditional practice gone, the dead people will go to hell. Dead will go to Sankaro, Narakaiva. They will all be led to the hell. And then community and family gets destroyed. Nothing will remain safe. What we call a society will not be a society. It will be an unorganized, lawless existence of human beings. That's all. That's all will happen with that. So that is the argument of Arjuna. What Arjuna says is right or wrong, only when we go to Krishna you will know. Until then, it looks good for us. There is sense in what Arjuna says from Arjuna's point of view. Krishna's point of view, I already gave you a clue what Krishna's point of view is. If you allow the Osama bin Laden-like people to survive, what would they do? They will destroy all. If that should not happen, they are to be eliminated. Adharma, to save dharma, adharmis are to be eliminated wherever they are, whenever it happens. That's why the governments are there. Their duty is to safeguard all. So, Doshairete Kulajnanam Varna Sankara Karakahi, mixing of Varna, Utsadyante Jati Dharmaha Kula Dharmasya Shashvata. Here he calls two things which you also can understand. Jati Dharma and Kula Dharma. There are two things you can underline. There are some Jati Dharmas. Sir, which one is better? The answer is all are good. No one is better. If we do not do in the same way the rights of the dead man, will it cause danger to us? They have every community has found its own way of doing it. If they don't do that way, they think they will be troubled by the ghost of God dead. Therefore, no method is perfectly right, no method is wrong, because it is a tradition that we have followed. And we think we get satisfied if we do those traditional way of respecting our elders. This is my definite opinion about the dead people. I usually say, if you do not do the cremation and other rites as we do in India, as we do in a tradition in India, in America we don't see ghosts walking along the streets, you see. They have their own way of doing it, and that's also right. Thousands of people go to the World Trade Building where they lost their dear ones. They offer a fruit, rather they offer flowers there, and that is a way of also respecting the elders once in a year. And if they do it, they don't do it, they feel that they have not done a job to be done. So this way, all ways of doing the activities after the death is to be recognized. Nothing wrong with it. So he says, Utsad doshe rete kulagnanam varnasank utsad jati dharmas will disappear and kula dharmas will also disappear. You can underline those two. Shashwataha, permanently they will go. Culture will not remain at all. Tradition will not remain at all. The festivities that we conduct nowadays in different communities will not remain at all. So nothing associated with our dharma will remain. That will happen if the war continues, is the argument of Arjuna. I think we can repeat. Doshairete kulajnanam
दोषैरैते कुलज्ञानां
varna sankara karkai
वर्णसङ्करकारकैः
utsadyante jati dharmaha
उत्स्याद्यन्ते जातिधर्माः
kula dharmascha shashvataha
कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वताः
doshairete kulajnanam
दोषैरैते कुलज्ञानां
वर्णसङ्करकारकैः
वर्णसङ्करकारकैः
उत्साद्यन्ते जातिधर्माः
उत्स्यादन्ते जातिधर्माः
कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वता
कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वताः
Varna Sankara, that word, that's the word you may have to note. Mixing of castes, mixing of practices will destroy all Kula Dharma and Jati Dharma is the argument of Arjuna telling it to Krishna. Utsanna Kula Dharmanam Manushyanam Janardana Narake Niyetam Vaso Bhavati Tanushusram. Logically, step by step, Arjuna gives his argument. We have heard Krishna, if we do not do the last rites of a man who is dead, they will permanently stay in hell. They will go to the hell. There is no protection for them to go back to the heaven or a good place. Utsanna Kuladharmanam Manushyanam Janardana. Janardana is Krishna here. When all traditional practices of showing respect to the dead people disappears, Narake Niyatam Vasaha. They will all go to hell. We have heard like that. Bhavatit Anushushuma, that is what Arjuna says. We have heard like Anushushuma is we have heard. We have heard like that. All people will go to hell if we do not do the last rites after their death and Lupta Pindodaka Kriya, all the other arguments which he gave, giving food every year once, giving water every year once, and so on and so forth. Whatever practice we have, it's good. So if that is not done according to Arjuna, they will all go to hell. They will all go to hell permanently because there is none here to save them from hell. There is one question which I think I can refer to. Sir, in this situation, what is the truth? According to Bhagavad Gita, you go to your karma. If you have done good, you will have a better life. If you are perfect, you will get liberation. If not, your next life will be lower than the present life, and so on. It goes on deteriorating and it goes on upgrading if you are a good man. Whatever sun does cannot help the dead people. That is Krishna's wonderful explanation to us. Sir, why should the children do it? There is another question. It's their duty to save the dharma. Their parents have done. They have remembered their parents, and we remember our parents. Next generation also must remember their parents and respect them. So that is why these karmas are there. Karmas do not really take you from your punishment or naraka or swarga or whatever they call. We have started a journey and we continue the journey because of our karma and other things that we do according to our shastras. This is the duty of the younger ones or the children to do that. That's what's going to come later. But I am giving you a clue what Krishna's argument about this is. You cannot help your parents to go to heaven by doing some karma here, by doing some homa here. That is to purify yourself, you have been doing, that's all. Utsanna kuladharmanam manushyanam janardhana narake niyatam vasa bhavati tanushrushma. If this dharma, kuladharma disappear, people will go to hell. That is what we have heard. We have heard that when these things, last rites have not been done, people will go to hell. It will happen if the war continues and all are killed. There is nobody left to do all these things and they go to hell. Therefore, we can avoid war. That's the argument of Arjuna. I think we can repeat. Utsanna kula dharmanam
उत्सन्न कुलधर्माणां
manushyanam janardana
मनुष्याणां जनार्दन
narake niyatam vasaha
नरके नियतं वासः
भवतीत्यनुशुश्रुमा
भवति तनुशुश्रुमा
उत्सन्नकुलधर्माणां
उत्सन्नकुलधर्माणां
मनुष्याणां जनार्दन
मनुष्याणां जनार्दन
नरके नियतं वासः
नरके नियतं वासः
भवतीत्यनुशुश्रुमा.
भवति तनुशुश्रुमान्.
And then Arjuna is coming to the end of his argument almost. Ahobata mahatpapam kartum vyavasitavayam. Krishna, what a great tragedy we would have been responsible for by doing this war. We would have incurred the greatest papa by killing people. Ahobata yadi ahobata mahatpapam kartum vyavasitavayam yad rajya sukulavena hantum svajanamudyata. This is an important shloka. Arjuna feels we are only trying to fight Kauravas Rajya Sukha Loba. That is his first part of the second, rather third part of the shloka number, that shloka. Yad Rajya Sukha Lobena. We have been fighting for the Rajya Sukha and Loba and desire. Kauravas are also fighting for that. We are also fighting for that. That is what Arjuna believes. Rajya Sukha Lobena. We have decided to fight the war not for anything, just for Rajya Sukha Lobha. Desire of kingdom, desire of Sukha, treasure, and desire, Lobha. For these we have been fighting, he says. Hantum Swajanamudyata. That too, we have come to a level where we have to kill our own people. Swajana, you know that. Swajana is our own people. Our people, family people. Hantum Swajanamudyata. We have come to a position where we have decided to kill our own people because of Rajya Sukha Lobha. Rajya Sukha and Lobha. We have decided to kill our own people. Krishna, what would have happened if I had not got this thought? If I were not to think of this, we would have destroyed the entire Kauravas and Pandavas army, and such great hell would have broken down. That would have happened. Ahobat mahat papam karsum vyavasitavayam. We have come to a situation where we are at the threshold of doing a mahat papa, great evil, by fighting this war. We have just getting ready to fight this war. In Rajya Sukha Lobena, that too not with the intention of Arjuna has forgotten dharma altogether. He has only the thinking of family and the death and what would happen after the death and so on. Never bother about the dharma. That's what Krishna has to say in the later part of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore he says, Ahobat mahat papam, alas, ahoit, alas, ready to kill our own people due to the greed for kingdom. Due to the greed for kingdom and its pleasure also, we are determined to commit a grave sin, a great sin we are going to commit. Krishna, not good. Not at all good. Must be avoided at all cost. That is the argument of Arjuna to Krishna. Let's say, Ahobata mahat papam
अहोबत महत्पापं
kartum vavisidavayam
कर्तुं व्यवसितामयं
yadrajya sukalobena
यद्राज्यसुखलोभेन
antum swajanamudyataha
हन्तुं स्वजनमुद्यताः
ahobata mahat papam
अहोबत महत्पापं
kartum vyavasitavayam
कर्तुं व्यवसितामयं
yadrajya sukalobena
यद्राज्यसुखलोभेन
antum swajanamudyataha.
हन्तुं स्वजनमुद्यताः.
So what is the ultimate decision of Arjuna is given in the next shloka. I have decided not to fight. Yadi mam apratikaram ashastram shastrapaneha. I don't take revenge. I don't make any pratikara. Ashastram, I will be without shastra. And they, Dhritarashtra, Ranehanyas, Tanmeksha, let them kill me. That's better thing. So it is the suicidal tendency of Arjuna here. I'm not going to kill them because these are the arguments that I have that the war is going to do the evil to the society. Therefore, I only lift my hand, allow Kauravas to kill me. It will be better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra with weapons in hand were to kill me, who unarmed, and we who are unarmed and who does not retaliate in the battle. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to do anything. I only lift my hands, let them kill, and after killing me, they will all be happy. That's what Arjuna thinks. They get their kingdom, all others are safe, and whether good or bad, this society will run with all existing human beings. That is the suicidal tendency of Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. He had, and I told you, all options were exhausted before Mahabharata war happened. Ultimately, Krishna went there to Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. In that meeting, even Bhishma, Drona, and all senior peoples were there. He made a lost half country he first wanted, because they were also equal cousins of that clan, and they were elders. That was their natural right. When that was disagreed, he asked for some districts, say, then some talukas he asked, say. Ultimately, as a last resort, he asked for 5 small villages where these people could live peacefully without being attacked. Duryodhana, in his greed for kingdom, Lobo Bahata Chetasa, that is what we learned, said not a land that could be there on the top of the needle, I am ready to give, you can fight and take it. Should they fight or not to take their right? Their right, they should fight. That's Krishna's argument next. Dharma is that they must fight for it. But Arjuna says, no, I am done. I am not going to fight. Let them kill me. That is the better thing, so that I can save this society. Whether with dharma or adharma, they will go on living. I don't want to take part in the war field. That is the ultimate thing which Arjuna tells to Krishna. Yadi mam apratikaram. Apratikara means without doing pratikara, without fighting back. They fight. I also take action. That is pratikara. You do something. The pratikara is the other one also will do something to against that. I will not do that. Ashastram shastrapanaya. They are shastrapanis. Look here, beautiful words. Shastrapani means they are holding shastras. They have got measures, they have got bows and arrows and whatever weapon they have. But I will be without weapon. I will stand without weapon. Dhritarashtra ranehanyas tanmekshamataram. Dhritarashtra's people can kill me, who do not want to hold any weapon to fight against them. That would be better for me. That would be tanme kshemataram bhavet. That would be the best thing that I can do in this situation, Krishna. So, no, I'm not going to fight the war. Look here. What had he told earlier when war started? Senayor ubyor madhye ratam stapyamechyata. That too he told, with his dhanus in his hand, probably arrow in his hand also. He wanted to fight and said, where has he ended ultimately? The suicidal tendency of, no, I am not going to kill them. Let them kill me. Let them live happily thereafter. I am not going to fight. That is the end to which Arjuna has come in his desperation, in his love for number of people. So that's the end of it. And next one is Sanjaya. This is the last shloka of Arjuna in this chapter. We can repeat. Yadi mam apratikaram
यदि माम् अप्रतीकारम्
ashastram shastrapanayah
अशस्त्रं शस्त्रपाणयः
dhartarashtrarane hanyuh
धार्तराष्ट्रारणे हन्युः
तन्मे क्षेमतरं भवेत्
तन्मे क्षेमतरं भवेत्
यदि माम प्रतीकारम्
यदि माम् अप्रतीकारम्
अशस्त्रं शस्त्रपाणयः
अशस्त्रं शस्त्रपाणयः
धार्तराष्ट्रारणे हन्युः
धार्तराष्ट्रारणे हन्युः
तन्मे क्षेमतरं भवेत्.
तन्मे क्षेमतरं भवेत्.
Underline that shloka. That shloka gives you what was the ultimate condition at the end of his argument. He said, I'm not going to fight back. I only surrender. I don't take any bow and arrow. Let them kill me. That would be the better thing for us. Personality, Bhagavad Gita is a wonderful personality development training because Krishna in his 575 or 574 shlokas makes him get up and fight back to save dharma and save society and save the world. That's what Krishna does in his argument. So Sanjaya says one more thing for us. Sanjaya Vacha. Eva Muktva Janasankya Ratopasta Upavishat. And then, saying so, Sanjaya says, Sanjaya is saying to Dhritarashtra, we all know, Eva Muktva Janasankya. Sankya is warfield. In the warfield, saying so, Ratopasta Upavishat. Saying so, completely sat down in the chariot, getting down from the chariot, that could be mean also that one. Getting down from the chariot, Visrujya Sasharam Shapam. Left his bows, left his arrows, sat down with hands over his head. I cannot fight, let them kill. I'm not going to do anything because of the reasons that I gave you previously, Krishna. He says to Krishna, no, I'm not going to fight. This is what Sanjaya says to us. Eva Muktva Arjuna Sankhe. Saying so, Arjuna in the battlefield, Ratopasta Upavishyata. Sat down from the chariot, down on the seat of the chariot, on the seat of chariot they say, but Ratopasta means getting down from the chariot, he sat. That's the meaning. But we need not go into such minor details to misunderstand Bhagavad Gita. He got down, sat there, Shlokas Samvigna Manasaha, and Visurja Sasharam Shapam. He left his bows and arrows there. No, I don't take them. Shloka Samvigna Manasaha. Shloka, grief, confused, spoken this in the middle of the battlefield. Arjuna, whose mind was completely overcome by sorrow, sat down on the seat of the chariot, casting aside his bows and arrows. That is what is there in your book. So, Shloka Samvigna Manasaha, with all confusion and sorrow, Arjuna said, I'm not going to fight. He left his bow and arrow and told his own argument to Krishna, sat down, dejected, surrendered to be killed by Kauravas. He sat down. I think we can repeat that last shloka. Sanjaya Vacha.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Eva Muktva Arjuna Sankhe.
Eva Muktva Arjuna Sankhe.
Ratopasta Upavishat.
Ratopasta Upavishat.
Visrujya Sasharam Chapam.
Visrujya Shasharam Chapam.
Shloka Samvigna Manasaha.
शोकसंविघ्नमानसः
एवमुक्त्वा अर्जुनः सङ्ख्ये
एवमुक्त्वा अर्जुनः सङ्ख्ये
रतोपस्थौपाविशत्
रतोपस्थ उपाविशत्
विसृज्य सशरं चापं
विसृज्य सशरं चापं
शोकसंविघ्नमानसः.
शोकसंविघ्नमानसः.
That is the end of the chapter. This sir, was Bhagavad Gita taught to Arjuna chapter wise? No. For our understanding, Vyasa makes some parts. Here one subject up till now, so another subject next some shloka. So he makes 18 chapters over there to make it easy for the learners. It was a continuous advice by Krishna to Arjuna, not one chapter is over, you go to the second chapter. No. It was a continuous advice, say, for 1 hour in the battlefield. Sir, was there that much of time in the battlefield, you may ask, for Krishna to tell Bhagavad Gita? This question is generally asked. But the speaker was not an ordinary man. He was time himself, he was cosmic creator himself. When he spoke, as if we are in sleep, we would be stand still till his talks are over. That was the power. Another argument which you can give is Krishna can communicate entire Bhagavad Gita by just a touch of Arjuna with his beautiful hands, powerful hands. That also is possible, but this argument is better. He was time himself, he had no scarcity of time to advise Arjuna. What were they doing? They were all in a state of unconsciousness, standing still, not knowing, because that was Krishna advising Arjuna. There was no question of time, because time himself was advising Arjuna. Therefore, this question should not bother us at all. He had time, because he was time himself. So, did we repeat that shloka, Shruti?
How do you Yes.
Yeah. At the end of every chapter, there is a small recital in the end. Om Tat Sat. Tat Sat means that is the only truth. God is the only truth. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu. Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu. Bhagavad Gita is a Upanishad, I told you, because all in the Upanishad, all that is said in the Upanishad are summarized in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam. Here is anything you can note. Bhagavad Gita is not telling you a practical science of earning money. It tells you Brahma Vidya, knowledge of Atman and Brahman. That is Brahma Vidya, spiritual knowledge. Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. Next word, Yoga. Yoga is joining individual soul with the cosmic soul. Joining our small selves into the cosmic selves. That is yoga. Yoga nowadays is just a physical exercise, you see. Yoga teachers will tell you, do this exercise, you will be diabetic free. Do this exercise, blood pressure will not be there, and so on. That's not yoga for Krishna. A perfect, pure, full life is yoga. We must live a practical life. We must also live as spiritual life also. Physical, mental, spiritual perfection is yoga for Krishna. Physical exercises are not denied, but that's not the end of yoga. Yoga is for a beautiful life, a perfect life, balancing life of physical, mental, and spiritual self of a human being. That's the yoga. Therefore, Sri Brahma Vidyaya Yoga Shastre. That is Yoga Shastra. Krishna is telling Yoga Shastra. And Krishna is the right person. Yogeshwara Krishna himself is teaching Yoga Shastra to Arjuna, to me and you. Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, Bhagavad Gita is a question and answer forum. Therefore, Krishna Arjuna Samvada, discussion between Krishna and Samvada. Arjuna Vishadi Yogo Nama Pratamodhyaya. This one is Arjuna Vishadi Yoga. You have all seen Arjuna's lamenting, Arjuna's pouring out sorrows. Arjuna Vishadi Yogo Nama Pratamodhyaya. That is the end of the first chapter named Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Again, Om Tat Saditi. Only cosmic truth is real. God is real. We are all changing, but God is not changing. He was there, He is there, He will be there. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishadsu. Srimad Bhagavad Gita is an Upanishad that is to learn under a teacher, accepting one as a teacher. Every education is that only. I told you the other day, if you do medical, if you read all medical books and make a perfect understanding, you cannot practice as a doctor. You have to undergo the training from the teachers. So spiritual also same thing. You have to undergo a training. Upanishad, that's called Upanishad. Sit under some person. I am fortunate that you have selected me to learn Bhagavad Gita with. You could have many teachers to learn later also, if you are willing, not satisfied with what I say. So that is Upanishad. Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyaya Yoga Shastra. It teaches us Brahma Vidya, it teaches us Yoga Shastra. Yoga means joining of the small self with the cosmic self. Merging my small self with the universal self. Yoga Shastra, Krishna Arjuna Samvade. This is in the question and answer forum Bhagavad Gita. Krishna Arjuna Samvade. Arjuna Vishadi Yogo Nama Pratamodhyaya. Arjuna Vishadi Yogo Nama Pratamodhyaya. That is the end of the first chapter. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanastu. So, in Kannada batches, I have told summary of every chapter, and that will be given to the that will be posted into WhatsApp group after the chapter is over. So, as that is not there, let me also once again tell you the summary of what happened in the entire first shloka. Listen carefully. I will be very short. I think we can begin. Alaka? Okay. Shilpa? Who is there? Shruti?
ಗುರುಗಳೇ ಒಂದ್ ನಿಮಿಷ ಅಲ್ಕ ಅವ್ರೆ ಎಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್?
It's even after the class you have to excuse me.
You can start.
Yeah. In the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is named Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna pours out his sorrows. And this Bhagavad Gita is being told by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra on the 11th day of the war. Dhritarashtra wanted to know what was going on in the warfield. Because his children were getting defeated, Bhishma had fallen down. So he calls Sanjaya to tell him what was wrong in the warfield. Sanjaya was blessed by Vyasa to have the vision of that. And Sanjaya says, entire Bhagavad Gita to us. First question that Dhritarashtra asks is, tell me Sanjaya, what did my children and the Pandavas' children do in the warfield? They were desirous to fight. Tell me that what went on in the warfield was the question asked by Dhritarashtra. To which Sanjaya has to answer, closing his eyes, seeing the vision which he can see, what is going on in the war field. So Sanjaya begins the answer. Sanjaya starts. Sanjaya first tells about his son, Duryodhana. He says, Duryodhana went to Dronacharya in the war field and said something to him as an instruction as a king. He said to Dronacharya, Acharya, look at these great armies on both sides, and the Pandavas' army has been led by Drupadaputra. You can take care of them also. Drupadaputra was your student also, that is what he says. And then Duryodhana introduces who are the people that were there in the Pandavas' army. There are many great heroes like Bhishma and Drona, Bhishma and Arjuna, Yudhano, Virata, Drupada, Drishtaketu, Chekidana, Karchi Raja, Purujit, Kunti Bhoja, Shebya, Yudamanyu, Vidamanyu, Uttamoja, some of, yes, Yudamanyu, Vikrant, Soja, Uttamoja, Saubhadro Draupadhyasya, Sarvaye Maharata. He first introduces all people who had gathered from the side of Pandavas, naming them as Yudamanyu, Virata, Drupada, Dushtaketu, Kashi Raja, Purujit, Shebya, Kunti Bhoja, Yudamanyu, Saubhadra, Draupadi, and so on. And then he also speaks about his army. He tells to Dhritarashtra, he tells to Dronacharya, ours is also a big army, dear teacher. I will tell you for your reference. And he says, you are there, Bhishma is there, Karna is there, Krupa is there, Ashwatthama is there, Vikarna is there, Somadatti is also there, and Jayadratha is also there. There are many other kings who have gathered here to fight for us, and they have all come here ready to sacrifice their life for my sake. And he has a small feeling, ours is a limitless army led by Bhishma, but Pandava army is a small one led by Bhima, and you all know the number. They had 11 Nakshvani, Pandavas had only 7 Nakshvani. And then, when he said these words, next to him was standing Dhritarashtra. Next to him was standing Bhishma. He was a little hurt. And then he roared like a lion and blew his conch. That is to show that he was also ready to fight the war. And then all other people blew their conches, shells, and all other instruments which would make a big voice were blown. Then Krishna and Arjuna, who were sitting in Shvetair Hairukte Mahati Sandane, white-horsed, beautiful chariot, the Krishna and Arjuna who were sitting in that, Madhava Pandava Seva Divyoshanko Prabhatu. Krishna and Arjuna also blew their conch. And then the conches are named. Krishna's conch is called Panchajanya, Arjuna's is called Devadatta, Poundram is the name of the conch of Bhima, Ananta Vijaya is the name of the conch of Yudhishthira. Nakula Sahadeva also blew their conches called Sughosha Manipushpaka. So a war call was given. And all other kings in the same time blew their own conches or whatever instrument they had. And then everything was arranged. But the noise was so big, Sanjaya tells Dhritarashtra, it actually pierced the heart of your people. That was such big noise, he said. And after everything is being arranged, Arjuna observed it was the time for him to talk. So he tells to Krishna, Seniyor Byor Madhya Ratam Sape Mechuta. Achyuta, that is what he says to Krishna. stop my chariot between the two armies, Krishna, because I have to observe with whom I must fight, with whom I must leave to others, and so on. Until I complete my observation as to what I have to do, how I have to fight, etc., you keep my chariot even there. Even till then, you keep the chariot there, he says. And Krishna, as suggested by Arjuna, takes the chariot in the middle of the warfield. He makes the chariot stand in front of Bhishma and Drona and says, Pashyetan samavetan kurun. Krishna, look at the gathered Kuru people to fight the war. That is what he says. And Arjuna observes. There he observed all his own people. Whom? Tatrapastitam Acharyan Matulan Bratrun. He observed his teachers, great-grandfathers, children, grandchildren, Shushuran, uncles, paternal uncles, friends, and every male and male relation being gathered there, Arjuna observes. And then that observation makes him go down to 0 from 100% confidence. So now from 100% confidence, Arjuna has come to 0 confidence. Tan samikshasakavya survan bandhu navastata kripya prayavishta vishidanal. Down he went and he began to pour out his sorrow. Krishna, Arjuna speaks. Krishna, I have been seeing all my people here. My size goes down. My mouth dries. My body shakes, I cannot stand. I cannot even hold my Gandiva, it slips from my hand. And my mind, I don't know what kind of illusion I have been going through that. And I have been seeing all bad omens. I don't see any better thing in continuing this war. That's what he says. And then he says, Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna Nacha Rajyam Sukanicha Kim no Rajyana Govinda Kim Bhogerti Vitenva. I don't want any Rajya, any kingdom. I don't want any luxury. What should happen with those luxury and kingdom, etc., Krishna? So he gets dejected and continues. We want kingdom when they are all alive. We want to rule. After killing all of them, if we rule, are we ruling the burial ground is my question. All people, all relations have gathered here. He also repeats what Sanjay had told, who are the people gathered there. And he says, I'm not going to kill these people, even if I am killed. Oh Krishna, he says. And then we only get Papa if we kill the Kauravas, because they are worst papis on earth. And therefore, what is the use of killing our own people and getting the Rajya? I don't understand. And then he goes on giving some argument to show that he is not ready to fight the war. They don't understand, but we have knowledge. We know what is the tragedy of war. What will happen if a war is fought? Katamna jnayam asmadvihi papadasman nivartitum. We know what is going to happen when the war happens. Why don't we at least go out of the war? Because we have knowledge. And then he gives the argument, Kulakshe pranashyanti kuladharma sanatana. From Kulakshaya, traditional kuladharma will go to dogs. When dharma disappears, adharma rises. When adharma happens, ladies will lose their chastity, and that happens, mix of the caste will be there, and all jati dharma and kula dharma, all dharmas so far saved will all get destroyed. And then we have decided to do a great papa coming here over to the war field, and he thinks as if he has got the right sense before he started war. Ahobat mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam. What a great evil that we had decided to do it, Krishna. So, saying so, he said, let Duryodhana and his people kill me. I don't do any action in the warfield. I only lift my hand and ask them to kill. That would be the best thing that could happen to me. That's what he said. Having said so, he just sat down on the ground near the chariot, surrendering himself, dejected, putting his hands on his head, did not know what to do. And then Sanjaya says, saying so, Krishna sat down behind the chariot, saying that he would not fight the war. With that, we come to the end of the chapter 1, which doesn't have any philosophy. It has only Arjuna's grief. We have come to Bhagavad Gita because we also have our own grief to attend. Therefore, we also can pour out our grief before we get answer from Krishna what he has to say. And I think we can take the next part of the Gita tomorrow. We will go to the real Bhagavad